In a stunning geological event, Ethiopia's Hayli Gubbi volcano, long dormant in the remote Danakil depression of the Afar Rift, erupted explosively for the first time in recorded history on November 23, 2025. Located roughly 15 kilometers southeast of the perpetually active Erupted volcano,
what happens when a volcano, asleep for 12,000 years, suddenly wakes up? On 23 November 2025, the Hayli Gubbi volcano erupted in northern Ethiopia, and its ash didn't just darken the skies locally, it drifted across seas and borders, grounding flights from Africa to Asia, and triggered an alert for millions far from the crater. This isn't just an Ethiopian story. It could affect you. On Sunday morning, 23 November 2025, Ethiopia woke up to an event geologists have been warning about for years, a massive eruption from the Hayli Gubbi volcano, located in the Afar Rift Zone, one of the most geologically active regions on Earth. For context, this region is part of the East African Rift, a place where three tectonic plates, the African plate, the Arabian plate, and the Somalian plate, are slowly pulling apart. This stretching of the Earth's crust creates a line of volcanoes that can awaken with little warning. Hayli Gubbi, however, was considered extremely unlikely to erupt because scientists estimate it had been quiet for at least 12,000 years. This eruption is literally the first in all recorded human history. What shocked experts most was the power of the eruption. The volcano sent a column of ash shooting 14 kilometers into the sky, around 45,000 feet, which places the ash in the same altitude used by long-haul passenger jets. The moment ash reaches this level, it becomes a global aviation hazard. Satellite imagery from the Volcanic Ash Advisory Center, VAAC, confirmed that the plume expanded rapidly, carried by strong upper-level winds. Ash clouds spread eastward within hours, forming a long gray trail stretching from Ethiopia's Afar region across the Red Sea. On the ground, the eruption was devastating for rural communities. Thick layers of ash blanketed villages, coating homes, crops, lakes, and livestock. Herders reported that their animals could no longer graze. Ash-covered grass becomes toxic and causes mouth lesions, lung inflammation, and death. Emergency teams rushed food and water, but in remote Afar, this is extremely difficult terrain. Some villages reported temporary darkness during daylight hours as ash blocked out the sun, and tremors continued long after the initial blast. This was not just another volcanic event. This was a once-in-millennia awakening. 2. The immediate fallout. Who's already affected? Once the ash entered upper-level jet streams, the question was no longer if it would spread internationally, but where and how fast. First impact zone, the Red Sea plus Arabian Peninsula. Strong easterly winds pushed the ash cloud across the Red Sea within hours. Yemen and Oman were the first non-African countries affected. Environmental officials issued air quality warnings, ports monitored ash fallout, and meteorological agencies tracked cloud density to assess health risks for coastal populations. Second impact zone, Gulf countries and Middle East flight routes. As the plume expanded, aviation authorities in Saudi Arabia, UAE, and Qatar issued precautionary advisories. Even where ground pollution was low, the important factor was airspace safety. Many Gulf to Asia and Gulf to Africa routes run directly through the affected corridor. Third impact zone, South Asia. By November 24th through 25th, the ash plume had stretched more than 2,000 kilometers, drifting across the Arabian Sea. It then entered India's northwest airspace, including Rajasthan, Punjab, Delhi flight corridor, Western India's transcontinental routes. Some ash drift even reached northern Pakistan, according to atmospheric trackers. As a result, Air India, Indigo, Akasa Air, and several Gulf airlines canceled or rerouted flights. More than 11 flights were canceled over 2 days. Several airlines were forced to fly longer southbound or eastbound detours to avoid contaminated air. Indian authorities, IMD and DGCA, issued strict measures: avoid flying in ash-affected altitude bands, conduct rotor and engine inspections after exposure, reroute or ground aircraft whenever in doubt. Ash clouds are unpredictable. A small density change could make flying extremely dangerous. Ripple effects beyond Asia. Ash forecasts showed the plumes stretching toward southern Iran, Pakistan's Lahore, Islamabad aviation zone, northern Arabian Sea shipping routes. Even if ash coverage is thin, it can still reduce visibility, affect naval radar, and contaminate water reservoirs. 3. What this means. Global dangers of volcanic ash. More science, more explanation, more global reach. Volcanic ash is not like smoke or dust. It is made of tiny glass-like shards, razor-sharp particles of volcanic rock, minerals, and gas. When sucked into airplane engines, ash melts at extremely high temperatures, turning into glass that coats the turbines and can cause engine shutdown. This is why ash clouds are treated with extreme caution worldwide. 2 major dangers make this eruption globally significant. 1. The ash reached cruising altitude. This places it in the jet stream, allowing it to travel thousands of kilometers, far beyond Ethiopia. 2. The ash spread across major global air corridors. Routes between Middle East, India, Middle East, Southeast Asia, Africa, Asia, Africa, Europe, potential if winds shift, are all monitored. Even ground-level air quality in Ethiopia, Yemen, coastal Oman, and parts of northwest India could degrade depending on wind shifts. On the ground in Ethiopia, ashfall destroyed grazing land, contaminated wells, and coated farmland. Respiratory illnesses increased, particularly among children, elders, and herders caught outdoors. Experts warn the ash impact could last weeks or even months, depending on ongoing volcanic activity. What begins in one remote corner of Ethiopia can flare into a chain reaction affecting aviation, trade, agriculture, and public health across continents. 4. Who should be on alert? What to watch next? Deeper analysis plus future risk zones. Countries to monitor closely: Oman, Yemen, Saudi Arabia, UAE. High risk due to proximity plus major air routes. India, Pakistan, Bangladesh. Upper-level winds can bring ash over South Asia again if activity continues. Sri Lanka, Nepal, Western China, Xinjiang. Not immediately affected, but jet stream shifts could redirect ash east-northeast. East African neighbors, Eritrea, Djibouti, Somalia. Low-level ash fallout possible if the volcano continues erupting. European aviation sectors. If the plume enters the subtropical jet stream, long-haul Africa-Europe flights could be forced to reroute. What to watch in coming days. VAAC updates on ash height, density, and movement. New tremors or secondary eruptions. Volcanoes often erupt in cycles. Airline cancellations and rerouting patterns. Visibility and air quality alerts across Arabia and South Asia. Impact on Red Sea shipping lanes. Volcanic events rarely end with one explosion. Many run in episodes over weeks. This eruption is more than just a natural event. It is a wake-up call from a planet that is constantly shifting beneath our feet. For decades, the Hayli Gubbi volcano slept silently in the deserts of Ethiopia. Entire generations lived and died without ever imagining it would roar back to life. And yet, in a single morning, it reminded the world that the Earth doesn't care about borders, routes, or routines. A single plume of ash from a corner of Africa has already disrupted the travel plans of millions. It grounded flights across the Middle East, forced airlines in India to shut down major routes, and pushed entire aviation corridors into emergency rerouting. But the impact goes even deeper. Families living near the volcano are now watching their livestock struggle to survive under blankets of ash. Farmers worry about contaminated water. Local communities face uncertainty that could last for weeks or even months. Meanwhile, thousands of miles away, passengers sitting in airport terminals wonder why their flights are delayed, not knowing that the answer lies in a volcanic crater in Afar. This is the reality of our modern world, a world so connected that the shaking of one mountain can affect economies, health, transportation, agriculture, and daily life across continents. As climate patterns continue to evolve, as pressure builds beneath tectonic plates, as global temperatures influence atmospheric circulation, events like this, rare, unexpected, powerful, may become more common, more disruptive, and more dangerous. That is why we must pay attention. Not just when a volcano erupts, but when scientists warn us. Not just when flights get canceled, but when the Earth shows signs of awakening. Not just when ash reaches our skies, but when the data tells us something bigger is changing. Because nature doesn't send invitations, it sends warnings, and this eruption is one of them. In a world so connected, a disaster in one corner can send shockwaves everywhere. And if we don't stay informed, prepared, and aware, the next eruption might catch us sleeping. So remember, one volcano can reshape landscapes, one ash cloud can rewrite flight paths, and one moment of Earth's fury can change the world far more than we realize. Stay informed, stay alert, subscribe for real-time updates, and share this video, because knowledge travels faster than ash, and it might protect someone who needs it.